Welcome to Procreate 5X for Beginners. I'm so excited you're here and honored that you've decided to learn Procreate from me. It's truly one of my favorite programs. I've been using it since the very first version came out, and I now create weekly tutorials for it. So I promise you, you are in the right place and we're going to have a lot of fun together. So before we get started, I want to share what you'll learn so you will have an idea of expectations for this course. So first, we're going to go through creating new canvases. We're going to talk about resolution and color profiles. We're going to talk about interface basics, so you'll have a handle on all the common tools that you will use whenever you're creating new artwork in Procreate. We'll discuss masking in Procreate at length. There are two types of masks, clipping masks and layer masks. They're both extremely important because both of them, even though they're pretty different, can make your workflow much quicker and allow you to do different things that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. We're going to talk about brush customizations. If you've heard about Procreate at all, or if you're familiar with Procreate, you know Procreate's brush engine has gotten some huge improvements over the last couple of versions. We're going to talk about altering existing brushes and then where to find certain brush settings depending on what you would like to do with your specific brush. We're also going to dive into animation basics, which I'm really excited about this one because past versions of Procreate made it really difficult or a little confusing to get animation working properly. But now with 5X, they have the animation assist palette, which makes things so much easier than they ever were before. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how to use that palette. We're going to create a simple animation, and then we're going to create a more complex animation in our fourth project. And then finally, we'll talk about exporting. The file formats that I recommend for exporting your regular artwork and then your animations as well. All right, let's talk about our class projects now. This class came with 4 projects. The first project is just a very basic floral initial. There's a lot of elements here, but the main focus is going to be on layer order. Layer order is an essential foundational skill to have because it allows you to know where to place different items in your artwork. As you're working, everything can be much more organized. It'll be much easier to find different things. We'll talk about layer groups. We're also going to be using some typable text. We'll apply color, and we're going to be using our brushes. In project 2, we'll be using typable text again. We're going to be integrating both layer masks and clipping masks. We'll be using multiple brushes for this one, and we're also going to return to layer organization because it's such an important skill to have. Project number 3, we're going to create a 3D lettering effect, which is really fun. It's going to look like your lettering is actually popping off of the screen. So I'm going to show you my method for doing that. We're going to be using the motion blur. We're going to be using clipping masks, layer masks, transparency settings, and we'll throw in a background texture too. And then in the fourth project, this is our most complex project. I threw this one in here as kind of a challenge project, but all the tools and methods used in this project, we will have gone over before you get to it. So we'll create some animated drawn-in lettering. We'll talk about layer organization again. We'll use the animation assist palette. We're going to be using a layer mask in a huge way in this project, and then we'll also export that video. So the class bonuses that came with your enrollment, you got 4 free brushes. It's all part of a brush set. Once you install that, they'll all be together, and those brushes are my monoweight brush, which if you've ever caught any of my past tutorials, you know that I use the monoweight brush pretty often. I've included my signature brush, which is a very smooth lettering brush. It's got pressure settings, so your thickness will change depending on the pressure you put on your stylus. I've included my dotted brush, which is great for adding some finishing touch details to your artwork. And then my smooth pencil brush, which is also a lettering brush. It's got some built-in texture and it also has that pressure variation. I've included all the color palettes for each project so you can follow along exactly. I've included a free ink texture. It's a transparent PNG. And then finally, all the Procreate project files, the exact projects that you see me creating on screen, I've included those raw Procreate files. One question I'm asked pretty often is how you can use the artwork that you make by following along the projects in this class. So I want to go over that really quick. So first, if you recreate any of the projects and you want to post them to social media, that's totally fine with me. Feel free to do that. A mention and or a tag is always greatly appreciated. You cannot recreate these and then sell those recreations online because it's based on my own original artwork and concepts. But you can use any of the skills, brushes, and color palettes from this class for any future artwork that you want to create and plan to sell. If you'd like to use the ink texture that was provided for free in work that you want to sell, because it's part of a larger set, you'll have to pick up the extended license for it, and I've left a link on screen to that. One other thing that I want to mention really quick is that you may notice a slight color shift from what you see on screen when you're watching the class to what you see on your screen, on your iPad screen. And there's a few reasons for that color variation. First of all, I'm recording a screen, and just the general nature of recording a screen can sometimes alter color. The brightness of my screen is also going to affect the appearance of those colors, whether or not they're a little washed out or a little darker. The editing and video exporting process and the compression of the video can sometimes alter color a little bit. And then the screen you're viewing it on, your screen's specific settings, the brightness, whether it's a retina or a non-retina screen. So it's impossible to match color exactly because of all of these different variables, but I promise we do our best. And all the free color palettes that were provided are the exact ones that I'm using in every project, whether or not the color is exactly the same or a little different on screen. But please feel free to adjust them however you'd like. Just a quick mention of what I use to record on. I am on a 3rd gen iPad Pro. It's a 2018 iPad. It is 12.9 inches and 256 gigs. I'm very happy with it. If you're in the market for a new iPad, I would definitely recommend this one based on my experiences with it. I love the larger size. It feels like I'm drawing on a real sheet of paper, and the storage size has been perfectly fine for me. I have tons of Procreate files on here. I use it on a daily basis, and I haven't had any issues with storage. And then I'm also using a 2nd gen Apple Pencil. Okay, the class hashtag for this, if you decide to recreate the projects and post them on social media, I would love it if you use class hashtag Procreate it. You can look at past student projects and cheer other students on by visiting that hashtag in Instagram. If you do try this out and post it on Instagram, please tag me. My handle is every Tuesday. So with all of that said, let's dive into Procreate 5X for beginners.